Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to a chill vlog. We're going to be talking about mental health, about being an artist, creativity, your inner saboteur. I'm talking with my friend Rivka Reyes, who you might recognize from School of Rock, amongst other things. We do an interview and talk about the inner saboteur stuff, which really relates to their new project. We talk about sobriety as an artist. I talk about my new writing projects. So I feel like for me, being creative and fighting my own inner saboteur is not putting the pressure on myself for my projects to come out as like a finished statue. I really feel like it is like wood carving or whittling or one of those things where you have to shave away all of the pieces. This hunk of clay or wood or whatever is this drive that I have to tell a story about this. It's the themes, it's the emotions that I feel about it. It's like this inner knowing, and I have to carve away all of these things to make it a beautiful statue or whatever it is. And so that kind of approach has made me feel just a lot more comfortable in writing and creating, because I don't feel like I'm making something of nothing. I feel like I'm starting with something and I'm whittling it away and whittling it away, and of course it's going to be ugly after the first pass. It's not going to look like much. It's going to be ugly for a really long time, and that's okay, rather than feeling like I have to create something from the ground up that is perfect the first time I put it together, if that makes sense. Okay, I know my hat says vote 2020, but I have been wearing it a ton lately because LA had some cooler weather, and it is more relevant than ever, honestly. We are in the final push towards midterm elections. Remember, in these midterm elections, the issues are determined on both a federal and state level by a combination of governors, state legislatures, and federal elections for the House of Representatives and Senate. On top of that, many other critical state officials are on the ballot, and a lot of the laws that affect our everyday lives are determined by our state's representatives. This election, educate yourself on the seats up for election in your area using the Center for Voter Information. And don't forget about down ballot or under the radar races. The most important thing that you can do to make sure that your vote is counted is vote as early as possible. So I've got my official sample ballot. I'm in Los Angeles County, so I received this. It also says that all registered voters will receive a vote by mail ballot, which makes it super easy and simple. In the past, I have filled out the mail ballot and then dropped it off at one of the locations. Pivotal issues are on the line that matter to us both locally and nationally. This is an extremely important midterm. They're expecting record numbers, massive turnout because of everything that's happening in the news, and you want to be a part of that. Voting is easy, it's quick, it takes a couple of minutes, and then you get to feel like you are a part of this in making the decisions for our future. Okay, I want to talk a little bit about writing, about self-doubt, and kind of that process of trying to come into your creativity and yourself as an artist, because I feel very much in that journey right now. I want to talk a little bit about writing, and this I think really plays into a conversation that I'm about to show you that I had with my friend Rivka about their project that is queer and magnificent, and also very much about your inner saboteur, and that being something that all of us deal with in some capacity, especially as artists. Hello, Rivka.
Hi.
This is my beautiful friend, Rivka Reyes. You probably recognize them from lots of things. Do you want to talk a little bit about where people might have seen some of your past work?
Sure. Yeah. Well, you might see me on your TikTok For You page. I'm on there. I've done a Lifetime Christmas movie where I played the main character's lesbian best friend. The movie's called Picture Perfect Holiday. I've also been in a movie called School of Rock. And aside from all that, like I've also done, a bunch of stand-up and I did a TV show called Bring the Funny, which was like the voice, but for comedians. And yeah, but School of Rock is the thing that I'm most widely known for.
I love that. That is such a broad, amazing span of work. I wanted to bring you onto the vlog today to talk about your new project, Gianna, which I'm so stoked for. Do you want to tell us a little bit about what Gianna is about?
Yeah, Gianna is a short film about a queer woman who takes a suggestion from her therapist to spend some time with her inner saboteur a little too far. The main character, Gina, is an addict, and I mean, I identify as an addict to a recovering addict, but we meet Gina when she's not yet in recovery. And addicts are known to take things just a skosh too far. So that's where we meet our protagonist, and her inner saboteur is named Gianna. And in the short, I will be playing both Gina and Gianna. And I think it's going to be fun to portray how Gina and Gianna are similar but different, and how they're different but similar, and how Gianna is, not all bad, and how Gina is not all good, and vice versa.
Yeah.
I think there's a little bit of bad in the best of everyone, and there's a little bit of good in the worst of everyone.
I love that so much. And I think like recovery, I think is something that we've definitely like bonded over. How do you think that like your recovery and your sobriety has impacted you as an artist and like your like process of writing and creating?
Well, when I got sober, I was really nervous that my writing wasn't going to be as good anymore. I was like one of those like bleeding artists. Like I really did think that like I was going to fail as an artist if I stopped drinking. But it's been completely the opposite. I mean, I haven't shown up hungover to set in almost 5 years. And I feel like when I removed substances from my life and I had that separation, after a while, like it helped me really see the truth of some of my, characteristics as an addict, and allowed me to look at them with a sense of humor that I didn't have about it before. And I think it's funny. I like right before I got sober, I wrote this pilot, and then I put it away for a while and revisited it. I looked at the script that I had written before I got sober. I was like, wow, like I was really writing from the hurt. I was writing from all the places in which I'd been burned. And all these characters, all of this plot like shows that. But then I was able to take what I liked from that first iteration of that pilot and write from the heart, because I have such a like deep connection with my own heart and know what my needs are and know who I am more.
Right.
So it's definitely impacted my writing for the better.
I had such a fear too of, writing or creating sober in some sense. Because I was like, what if I can't access these feelings? But not only can I access them more because I'm feeling more in general and not like numbing out, but I feel much more able to like articulate what those feelings are. And so it really, I think, is such a blessing to the creative process.
The topic of the inner saboteur is something that I've been fascinated by for even longer than, before my sobriety. Like I have always talked about having this inner mean girl who, sometimes she sounds like my mom. Sometimes she sounds like the bitchy girl from high school that I always wanted to be friends with. Or maybe had a crush on, or like maybe just wanted to be her. That is kind of the voice that lives in my head that keeps me small and tells me like, you're a sack of shit, you're a horrible writer, you're not going to get this part because you're not pretty enough, you're not going to get this part because you're not queer enough, like whatever. And that voice has been a recurring character in my life for my whole life. So I have this really nuanced, close relationship with this archetype of that inner saboteur, and have been using my platform to talk about that voice. I had a gig over the summer, a play that I was doing, and Outfest was doing like a grant competition for pitches, and basically like they were going to select some pitches to get a $25,000 grant to make the short. We were semifinalists. We didn't get the big prize, but we came close. And that was kind of when I knew. I was like, yeah, I think people want to hear this story. We from there kind of planned to launch a campaign and raise the funds to make it in December. We're currently halfway through our campaign. This is where the inner saboteur is kind of coming out, art imitating life, right?
What are like some, whether it's like mindfulness techniques, or when you do feel that like creeping up on you, like how what are ways that like feel good in trying to conquer that inner saboteur? Not even conquer it, but just like sit with it.
Therapy. Big ups to my therapist. Love her. She is like one of the reasons why I'm making this film. Yes, I do meditate. I do partake in breath work as well. My favorite thing to do is just like breathe in for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 4, hold for 4, and then do that again 4 times. There are a bunch of different things. Like, I mean, yeah, sometimes if I'm feeling confused or stuck about what I should do in a situation, I'll pull 2 tarot cards, one being like one version of it and the other representing like another option. I like to get witchy with it. And yeah, I mean, I do have a strong like support network. I have a strong, community of people that I can reach out to. Yeah, I think the other thing too is I journal a lot. Like we're writers, we have to write, and sometimes when the thoughts that I'm having about myself, like the negative thoughts that I'm having about myself are too big for my head. I mean, my feelings are too big for my body. So I have to write them on paper to make them smaller. And to just see it in front of me and say, oh my God, I'm fully insane.
Right.
Like,
exactly.
A nicer way of saying that is like, oh my gosh, like I really feel something right now. Like, right.
And when you see it like on paper, digestible, for me, I'm like, oh, it feels like so much. And it is so much, but on this piece of paper, it's like a list of these feelings in my body, and that's just what they are, And
there are a lot of different ways to do morning pages too. Like it doesn't necessarily have to be 3 pages of your like inner monologue on paper. Like something that I like to do is like I'll come with like a question and I'll just be like, hey universe, like how am I going to get through this day without crying? And then I pause for a second. I do that 4-4-4 breathing. And then I let the pen kind of just do its thing. It's channeling. It's, called automatic writing, or some people call it 2-way prayer.
Yeah, I need to try that. In terms of the Seed and Spark campaign, I would encourage obviously everyone who is watching this to go check it out. We, as queer people and queer artists and queer creators who are also consumers of this art, like have to be obviously an active part in creating it and in funding it and like voting with our dollars and getting out of like the coming out narrative too, I think.
We're right. Like, we're well beyond that.
Right. Like they have their place, like I understand why that's important, but I want to see gay people do things other than come out as gay.
Yeah.
And have gay trauma. And so I think that that's also something that's really exciting about
I just want to tell a funny, spooky story about something that I think everyone has, that voice, that part of us that secretly wants us dead, There
are so many really fun perks on the Seed and Spark. You guys got so creative with it. Hot, love it. So much good stuff. Everyone should check it out. It's also just like it's a very well put together, beautiful little page. So
yeah, that's it. I mean, Gianna, the film also has its own Instagram. It's at Gianna, GIANNA.MOV, like a movie file.
So fun. They're quirky. Awesome. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for hopping on with us. It was such a pleasure to talk to you about Gianna and about your process. Everyone, make sure you go check out the Seed and Spark campaign, donate so that we can get this baby birthed out into the world. I need it. And I know that so many other people need it as well. And it's going to be really helpful.
Thank you.
I want to just kind of like open up about my life a little bit more and my work. And so I'm really moving away from production stuff, and I am really focused on writing right now because by the end of the year, so that's 8 weeks from now, I am going to have 2 half-hour pilots and a feature done. And that's my goal, so that in the new year, I can be sending those out, being like, hire me, represent me. And in the meantime, I'm trying to get into writers' rooms at like a lower level, basically. But the difference with what I'm doing with my writing right now versus why it hasn't ever clicked in the past is that I just feel like I know my voice more. And I, prior to, really thought that I had to make very dramatic projects. I just was like, there's no way that I'm funny. I'm just not funny enough to write comedy. Until I decided that I wanted to try writing comedy, and I actually like it so much more, and the process of it feels so much more natural. And so the shows that I'm doing now, I'm writing half-hour comedy shows, one of which is about strippers, and it's queer because I'm a stripper. I've said it like maybe a handful of times on the internet. I haven't for years, but I've worked on and off as a stripper for the past 7 years, and so I think that also kind of is what has caused me to be rather elusive in describing like my work and what I'm doing day to day. That kind of work really intertwines with the writing that I'm doing, because I've never seen an accurate representation of what that's like on screen. In the past, like, it's frustrating to me that I feel so behind the ball, I guess, in terms of like, well, I missed the deadlines to apply for the past years for these fellowships, and I wish I was already in a fellowship, or I wish I was already staffed in a writer's room or whatever. But I have to realize, like, I didn't make those projects at that time for a reason, because they were meant to be reconfigured into the stuff that I'm creating now. And the opportunities that are coming for me are coming at exactly the right time. I needed the emotional maturity and awareness and all these other things that are feeding into the stuff I'm creating now. Like, it is all happening at the exact perfect time and when it is supposed to. And so I'm really trying to keep that in mind, because this industry can very much get in your head and compare yourself to other people your age, and like the fact that I'm turning 26 soon, I'm like, oh my god, like I need insurance, I need a guild, I want to join the WGA and get their insurance. And so that's kind of what my focus is on. And so let me know kind of, I am making more film focused content over on my Directed by Jenna TikTok page, but let me know kind of, because these next 8 weeks, like, that is my priority of, like, I already have a rough draft of the stripper show that I'm so excited about. Like, I'm finally excited about my own projects. So I'm going to have, and a production-ready short film. So short film, that pilot's done. I'm currently beating out a beat sheet of my second half-hour pilot, and then the feature I'm thinking about. Haven't gotten into that yet, so that'll be interesting to see how it all shakes out. But I feel now like that I have started the process, like now it's flowing, versus I feel like I've spent years trying to force this thing to happen, that I just needed to wait and have the other pieces fall into place. And like now everything's happening, and I'm not saying that I'm like have 8 weeks to start from scratch and all these things. These are projects that have been marinating for a long time, most of them literally years, and I just now have the tools to make them a reality, and I'm really excited to show you. Thank you guys so much for watching today's vlog. Be sure to check out Gianna, even if you can't financially donate. If you make a Seed and Spark account and follow them, they're able to apply for grants and things like that. Make sure that you have your voting plan, and make sure that you are just taking care of yourself. And I hope you have a beautiful rest of your weekend. I'll see you in the next video. Bye!
Train ride just to see you, ride for hours.